Well, not many of us could lay claim to seeing heaven and coming back to earth to tell about it, but Don Piper has spoken to many about his experience in that regard that happened over 25 years ago. He's the author of 90 Minutes in Heaven, a New York Times best-selling book that has sold over 7 million copies since its release in 2004. The book has now been adapted into a feature-length film set for release soon, and we're joined today by Don Piper and his wife Eva to talk about it. Hi, folks. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with us.
How delightful. Thank you for having us on your program.
Well, first off, Don, let me say it was a privilege to preview the film a couple of weeks ago, and I was completely captivated by your story. Let's start there. Don, it was 1989, and you're a Baptist pastor with a young family, and you're traveling home alone from a conference in Texas. Give us just a thumbnail sketch of what happened that day.
I got killed on the way home. I was on my way to church to lead a Bible study, and I was crossing a narrow bridge, and a tractor-trailer truck, 18-wheeler, crossed the center stripe and hit me head-on, and I was killed instantly. Horrific accident, four-vehicle accident. Fortunately, no one else was hurt, and I was declared dead by 4 paramedics, and they're waiting for the coroner. The body's covered up, so nobody have to see it. It was a gruesome accident. When that happened, I was immediately standing at the gates of heaven, having a glorious time, a great reunion with those that had preceded me in life and had influenced me in life, and magnificent gate, angels everywhere, colors I've never seen before, aromas I've never smelled before, simply the most real thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It is now my reality. And I was there apparently for an hour and a half because that's how long it took for me to get back to earth. A gentleman who was behind me felt God saying, "Pray for me," even though he knew I had been declared but dead by 4 paramedics. Climbed in the car, held on to my right shoulder because my right arm is the only thing I did not break in the accident. He prayed and sang hymns after singing the hymn, "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," 90 minutes after the truck hit me and killed me. As he sang that song, I started singing song with him under the tarp in the dark in the wrecked car. And he said to the people around him, "The dead man is singing." And that began my journey back here on earth, 13 months in a hospital bed, 34 surgeries, and a couple of years of rehabilitation and therapy. Not the same as I was before. In any way, you can be the same. But I'm still here, and I'm trying to get people into heaven and help them have a better trip on the way.
Mm-hmm. And that's the story that a lot of people will be familiar with, those that have read the book, 90 Minutes in Heaven. What a unique experience, and one that you've had the opportunity to talk about now to over 3,000 audiences around the globe ever since. And Don, I know that there are a number of people who perhaps would doubt your story or explain it away somehow. Do you understand why some folks are skeptical, and how do you handle that?
Well, I understand. I wouldn't have believed this if it hadn't happened to me. So I don't blame them at all. I get a little upset at people who are just mean-spirited. You know, they just really, it's a personal attack, and it doesn't affect me as much as it does the people who love me and know that I'm a truth teller, that I wouldn't make this up. And if I had, why would I have waited 14 years to tell it? You know, or why would we make a movie where all the profits from the movie go to help other people? The movie helps orphans and widows and PTSD victims in the military. So we're not trying to profit. This is a story about how to get people into heaven, that it's real, and that you can go there through Christ, and that you can have a better life, even if something really horrible has happened to you. So I bless those folks, and I hope they have enough faith to embrace this. I really do. But even if they don't, it's okay. I just hope to see them in heaven one day, because they need to believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some people might react with doubt. Countless others have been astounded and ministered to you by your testimony of heaven. So, Don, why do you think that story resonates with so many?
Well, we all know. I think the vast majority of humans know there must be something beyond this. I think it's innate. It's something that's within us. There's got to be a better place than this, and of course there is. That's one of the last things Jesus said before he left this place was, "I go to prepare a place for you." And so he has, and it's an awesome place. but also He's with us. We're going to if we live long enough, we're going to need a miracle. Only a miracle will get us through some circumstances, whether it's a bankruptcy, a divorce, or a hurricane, or a tornado, or a death, or that's just part of life. And so, obviously, I had to figure out how to get through what we were going through, which was, missing parts of my body and a prognosis of very little ability to move on my own for the remainder of my life. And so I had to figure out how to find a new normal. I was never going to be the way before I was the accident. So, in a very real sense, this is a story about that, not just about the reality of heaven, but how do you get through long, dark nights? When the truck hit me, it hit all of us. It hit my family. It hit my church. We all had to figure out the new normal, and of course, that's where my family comes in. That's where Eva comes in. They had to get me through this, and they did, and I'm still here. And even though I was told I would never walk, I walked into the room where I'm sitting right now. When I'm finished, I'm walking out.
When I watched 90 Minutes in Heaven, I was surprised just how much the movie dealt with your recovery and the extreme depression you experienced during that time. And you talked about that new normal. You also mentioned your wife, Eva, who's on the line with us this afternoon. And Eva, I know you're also a renowned speaker and an author, and you have an incredible story to tell about this whole experience that has shaped your life. And Don calls you the real hero, the glue that held the family together. So, Eva, what's your greatest message for people walking through dark times today? How do you relate from your own experience, and what might you say to them?
My biggest piece of advice is don't try to do it by yourself. That was my greatest mistake, trying to take on everything on my shoulders, trying to uplift everyone's spirits, trying to make sure that Don was getting all the care that he needed. And it was really to my own detriment, because my health suffered because of that, not eating right, not sleeping, just constantly being bombarded with all those crucial decisions. And thankfully, I had a good friend who came to me and said, when you don't let other people step in and help you, you're robbing them of the opportunity to minister. And that was a new perspective for me. And so once I was made aware of that fact and let people in, whether it was just to come in and sit 5 minutes beside Don there in the hospital so that I could take a break and walk down the hall and just kind of clear my brain for a little while, that was a huge step for me, to let others in. I didn't want to impose on them. I didn't want to take away from their families, but they really wanted to do that, and I had to learn to let them do that. I also had to learn how to really pray. I'd been in church all my life. I'd always prayed, but it was very surface level, and during those days, I learned to truly open up to God, to be very honest about my feelings, sometimes even to fuss with him a little bit about the way things were going. I think God would rather us be angry at him and let him know that rather than ignore him. So I grew in a lot of areas, and I think that is something that people who are going through dark times will also experience if they allow themselves to. You can come out of it on the other side a stronger, more faith-filled person than when you walked into those dark times.
We're delighted today to have Don and Eva Piper on the line with us. Don is the author of the book 90 Minutes in Heaven, and the movie version of this amazing real-life story is coming to the big screen soon. Now, folks, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts of the finished film product? Does the movie tell the story in a way that's fairly accurate to the real-life events that you went through, and are you satisfied with the portrayal of the both of you in terms of bringing this story to life for people to see for the first time?
It's surreal. It's really surreal to watch other people be you and say your words and reenact something that was an extraordinary situation in our lives. I think Kate and Hayden and just a raft of really very accomplished people, Michael W. Smith and Fred Thompson and Dwight Yoakam and Marshall Bell and Jason Kennedy. They just did a wonderful job. It's really an all-star cast. So we had a great deal of input in the making of the movie. It's a story that evolved over a long period of time, but is condensed into 2 hours. So, understandably, there's some changes and some condensations, but I think they did a great job.
That was the thing when Rick Jackson, who is the CEO of Giving Films, he made that promise to us from the beginning that the movie would be true to the book, and it captures the heart, it captures the feeling, it captures the truth of both of Don and I's books as to the reality of heaven and to the reality that hope does live. Even when tragic things happen, through the grace of God, hope is there, and you just have to grasp it on a day-to-day basis.
Well, we have just about a minute or so left here. And finally, Don, your book has ministered to so many people over the years, and you both have spoken to countless audiences sharing this story. And now the movie. What is it you really hope that this film will cause other people to take away with them?
Help people understand that God does hear and answer prayer, that He is still in the miracle business of the 21st century, that we can overcome through the grace and power of God, even though we've been knocked down. I have been not knocked out, and that heaven is a real place, and that I believe Jesus is the way.
Well, listen, Don and Eva, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you again for joining us, and God bless you both. The movie is 90 Minutes in Heaven. It's based on the best-selling book by the same name. Its author, Don Piper, and his wife, Eva, have been our guests this afternoon. Now, I've seen this movie, and you are going to want to see it too. So don't delay when it comes out. Get there to watch it. Make sure you take a friend with you too. It releases September 11th from a company called Giving Films, and all of the profits will go to charities around the world, as Don mentioned. You can discover everything you need to